If you caught last week's episode, you already know we had an incredible conversation with Danielle Pilarinos about breast health and simple ways we can start to take care of them. This week, we're diving deeper into her work, but this time with magnets and biomagnetic therapy. So many women deal with tenderness, cysts, lymphatic congestion, and even more serious concerns like breast cancer. But what if there were simple, non-invasive tools to support breast health right at home? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Danielle is back to break down how biomagnetic therapy can help improve circulation, support detoxification, and keep breast tissue healthy. Plus, she's sharing how she used this therapy in her own family's healing journey. So let's dive in, talking all about magnets and boobs. Welcome back. I am so excited that you have joined me again in the Aligned Womb, Aligned You podcast. I'm Kate Nagai, and I am your host and womb guide on this journey. I'm here to help you to lean into the language of your menstrual cycle so that you can align yourself and awaken and activate to your womb wisdom to live the most inspired life. I am so excited to jump into this episode and to dive into today's topic. So let's get started. Welcome back. I am so excited to have you here for round 2, where we're going to talk about some more practical tips of things that we can do for breast health. And in particular, one thing that you're really passionate about, which is magnets. And I know nothing about, I'm like, magnets? Magnets for your boob? Tell me more.
I know it sounds weird, but I promise once you kind of wrap your head around it, it's not. Okay. So the main modality that I do, and along with herbalism and homeopathy and just all of this kind of education, is biomagnetism. And the easiest way to explain it is it's similar. Think of it like acupuncture, but instead of using needles, you're using magnets.
This is amazing.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Because we're using the magnets to balance out the terrain and the energy and the flow in that area. So the core kind of concept of biomagnetism is it's actually bringing pH back into a healthy range. And our body likes to be overall, like we like to be really neutral. Now we have some areas like our stomach that's super acidic, but then our intestines are really alkaline. And that is because we're neutralizing the stomach acidity,
Yeah.
right? We're always trying to get back to center and balance.
Yeah.
So with the magnets, when we're looking at it, we're saying we're looking at a pH imbalance outside of what's healthy for that tissue. In no way are we trying to make your stomach less acidic or your intestines like less alkaline. That is healthy for that tissue. But life, toxins, stress, pathogens, all sorts of things kind of cause glitches in our system.
Mm-hmm.
And we are able to use the magnets to help balance out that pH. Here's the really nerdy explanation of why. pH stands for hydrogen potential. We're all going back to high school chemistry. Sorry guys. Like trigger
Like
warning.
20 some years ago. Like, oh
I
my
know.
God.
Trigger warning. We're going back to high school. But pH stands for potential of hydrogen, and you either have an acidic or an alkaline area because of an excess of hydrogen or hydroxide ions. Hydrogen is like H plus would be written out, and hydroxide is OH negative. That positive and negative means that they have an electrical charge. Okay. Electricity and magnetism are two sides of the same coin. So there's this little electrical charge, right, because of the pH imbalance, and that creates this electromagnetic field, and that is why magnets can have an impact on your body.
Oh,
So if we think about it, when you have an EKG, you're measuring that electrical field. Our brain is the right there. We are electromagnetic beings. The earth is an enormous magnet.
right.
So we're using the magnets to kind of balance out that pH so the terrain, the tissue, is back to a healthier place. And when that terrain is healthy, like we talked in the first episode about like a pond that becomes really stagnant and gross and things are growing in it, okay?
Yep. Yep.
That is an unhealthy terrain. When we get that, so it's nice and clear, and in this case, we're discussing like the pH to a healthy place. Oh, now we have nice clear water. It's like a swimming pool. Like you got to get that. Everybody with a pool knows
Yeah.
you're throwing around with the pH forever to get it nice and clear. And then when that environment is nice and clear, guess what's not getting stuck in there and having space to grow? Pathogens, bacteria, viruses, parasite, funguses. You're having less toxins that are accumulating. There's better circulation overall. The energy flow is better. There's like a lot of different places that you can take it when you have that terrain healthier. So that is the core concept of biomagnetism,
That is fascinating.
right?
Okay, so I understand the core concept. Okay,
Hmm.
but now magnets.
Yeah. Mhm.
What do they, what are they? Where do they go? Like,
Yeah.
is this something that people can buy and do in their home, or is this something that they have to be in clinic for? Tell me all the tea.
So again, this is why I love it because it is a tool that allows me to give women power,
Right.
right? It allows them to step out of, shall we call the medical patriarchy. It gives them power and tools in their own home for themselves and their kids. I love acupuncture. I am not going to be putting needles in myself and on my kid, you know?
Very true. Very true.
But what I can do is put magnets on because there is no ill effect from placing them. Let's say you do it wrong. Okay, nothing bad's going to happen. You maybe don't get the full effect, but
Right.
nothing bad's going to happen. It's pretty easy to like tape a magnet over your shirt, you know? And so this is absolutely, you can work with somebody in person, and it is going to be a much deeper dive because what we use is muscle testing to see where are all these imbalances in your body.
Hmm.
And sometimes that's where emotions are getting stuck. We know how the body keeps the record, right?
Yeah.
So we're working with, okay, where is this trauma being stored? Where do we let that go so it's not being held? How do we create that environment so it's not trapped? There's flow. It improves oxygenation to tissue, circulation to tissue, and reduces inflammation. So you can look at it from a pathogen standpoint. People who have Lyme, chronic Lyme, or chronic disease like that, chronic infections. Okay, that's great. We need to like literally just get that pathogens out. But we can also look at it from these other perspectives. So yes, you can work with somebody in person, absolutely. But the way I try to educate people around it is you can do this at home. Let's get a toolkit at home for like pretty low investment.
Hmm.
Um, a pair of magnets, you're looking at about $25. So you can have several pairs of those and just start learning um, this tool and how to use it. So you can kind of do both of them. They cannot be refrigerator magnets. They do have to be very specific. You need to have
I
them like
just
a
got this
certain
image
strength.
of me
Yeah.
laying down with all
I know
of
you're gonna
all
like
the,
lay on the refrigerator.
maybe I just stick myself to the refrigerator.
Exactly. Exactly. And after your session, if you use your magnets, careful because you might stick to the refrigerator. Um, I will advise that you purchase them from a practitioner. Uh, like I manufacture the magnets. They do need to be of a certain strength, and I have ordered like tons of them off of everybody's favorite website to purchase lots of things with 2-day shipping. And not a single one of those magnets, once I tested them with a Gauss meter, which is a scientific device to measure the strength of a magnetic field, not a single one of them was strong enough to do the therapy.
Okay.
So be aware that there's a lot of kind of marketing around that, but it is something that you can do at home and get really great results from.
So if someone is interested in this,
Hmm.
they could contact you to get their magnets purchased. Do you also have courses or programs where they can learn how to actually use these things to the benefit? Okay.
You. Yes. Yeah. And we can talk about that more towards the end, but
Yep.
absolutely. I
Okay.
am all about education. If you haven't noticed, I'm an over explainer. So I'm like
Love it.
always over everything. But yes, so I have a tremendous amount of information, but I do have a biomagnetism library that's a part of my membership, and it has about 40 different protocols in there that are based on symptom, and you can search based on like, I have a headache, my kid has diarrhea, breast health, brain health protocols, and they are 2-minute videos, 3-minute videos showing you a couple places to put your magnets, and that's it. It is the easiest, most accessible way to bring biomagnetism into your life and into your home. And so that really started out because I just wanted more people to have this. I wanted women to have these tools. I was just so tired, like I said, of women being in fear and not knowing what to do and paralyzed there. And I just wanted to make their lives easier and better. And this is such a low-hanging fruit. Like you can get it, you can put them on your kids. It's so calming to the nervous system. It's grounding, it's stabilizing. And this is such an easy way to do it. Here's a couple pairs. And you can be up and running at home within 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to breast health and these magnets,
yes,
like you explained the pH and our chemistry class there, is this also helping to move that lymph, or is this okay?
So there's a couple ways when it comes to breast health that we're going to work with the magnets. We want to, first of all, think of it from like, we're just keeping that tissue balanced, right? Like if
Yeah.
we're looking at it, we're like just creating good balance. Or if you were thinking from an acupuncture point, like we're just getting that chi, that energy is
Yeah.
moving and it's as healthy as balance. There's not stagnation. You can do
Right.
that by literally just putting magnets around the chest and the breast. You could put them in the front of your bra, the side of your bra. You're just
But you're
keeping,
not wearing a bra. We're not wearing
well,
bras.
yes, you're not wearing a bra. But if you have one on, you can tuck it in there or like a little tank top that you're wearing.
Mhm.
Or I love telling people there's like a little magnet sandwich where if you put one magnet on the inside of your shirt and the other one on the outside, it'll pinch the shirt and kind of hold it in place.
And it just looks like a beautiful pin. You got
I
a nice
mean,
brooch.
you know?
Put some stickers on it.
Exactly. So that's how you can use the magnets for that. You're gonna just the terrain, that place. Like if you think of it and you're like so overwhelmed and you're, wearing your bra for a Zoom meeting, you can tuck the magnets in there and you're helping your tissue while you're doing other things. But yes, it does help with the lymph flow also. Because not only does it help with that pH, but it is improving circulation, oxygenation, it's getting things moving. And there are very specific points that help with lymph flow. So that's really important for the breast. You can put the magnets, they would be placed directly underneath your clavicle.
Mhm.
You can do them up in your armpits, which is where there's big axillary lymph nodes. Those are really a ton of lymph nodes up in there. When you get sick, we all know that feeling. You get like, it feels like something under your armpit and you're like, it's uncomfortable. Those are those lymph nodes. The sides, where like the band of your bra would be, lots of lymph nodes there. So you can just put the magnets on those places. So we're using them to help with lymph flow. We're using them to keep the terrain healthy and stable. But you can also put them on your liver and go back to what we discussed last time about the importance of supporting our liver
Right.
for hormonal balance. So this is not saying, I'm using it on my ovaries and my pituitary, like, or adrenals, like it's not even discussing that at all.
Yeah.
We're just saying, how do I get excess estrogen, which is the vast majority of folks? How do we get that out? And that's your liver doing that.
Yeah.
So you can put the magnets on your liver and it is helping to support your liver and encourage detoxification through a really supportive way, like bringing oxygen there, giving your liver what it needs. And it's just like, it feels cozy to me. Like, oh, I'm just like supporting everything. Instead of detoxing, I think a lot of us think of, I don't know if you ever did this, like those fasts, and I drank like water with apple cider in it or maple syrup, and then like you have diarrhea for a week. It's like the
Yep.
opposite of what I want people to experience. Like our body's already stressed. Can we not do that? Yeah.
Love it. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. I would love to see the poll, like how many of your listeners have done that.
Yes.
So
Another lie we've been
toxic
sold.
culture,
Yep.
but you can put that on your liver and it's supporting it and you're encouraging detoxification, but it's not stripping. It's not stressful. You're not having to buy another supplement. You're not having to do another thing. You have like one tool that can do so many things. And that's why I love the therapy. Not just what I see in my clinical practice, but at home. Here's one thing. You buy one pair of magnets for $25 and you're helping with detoxification, your liver, you're helping with lymph, you're keeping the tissue balanced. Like it's so many things um, that I really feel like every family should have this at home,
Hmm.
you know. So
Well, and we know that once again, like we talked about last time, all our systems are interlinked, right? And so you're not, you can't just help one organ or one area of the body. When you're helping one, you're offloading the system. That's creating that domino effect throughout the whole body, right? And so everything's linked, which is why, like, we can look at food, we can look at hormone health,
mhm,
we can look at magnets, we can look at lymph, we can look at castor oil. Like,
mhm,
all these things are all working together for the same purpose.
right. Yeah, and you can use your magnets, let's say, on your gut to help with gut motility and gut health because your liver gets the estrogen out through your bile, which you then have to get out through your gut. So
Yeah.
if you're constipated, guess what's getting reabsorbed,
Yeah.
right? Like, so
Well, and
it
not
is.
to mention that the gut can reactivate the estrogen and put it back into your system,
Mhm.
right? So having a healthy liver but having an unhealthy gut, like that can't coexist.
Yeah,
So
we're going back to that, like, there's a backup in the system
yeah.
in so many ways.
Which then goes once again, like if your liver's healthy, your breasts are healthy, right? So like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, so many things going off in
So
my
many
head
things,
right
and it's all interconnected. And I don't want anyone listening to be like, holy cow, I don't know what to do.
now.
Because any of these steps, number one, anything is better than nothing. Any of them is going to improve the health. And then once you try one thing, it starts relieving stress, it starts making things better. So then you have just a little bit more bandwidth to maybe add something else.
Yeah. Right.
And then you have a little more bandwidth, right? To maybe add something else. Or just to not get dysregulated because something else was added to your plate.
Hmm.
So
Well,
it's
and I think a lot of the tools that you have given are ones that are not super time consuming or feel super overwhelming, right? Like, what is it for us if we're feeling burnt out and overwhelmed while we're watching TV, just to feel comfortable in our own home to begin to like touch our breasts as we're watching TV?
yeah,
But once again, it comes back to like, can I feel comfortable enough to do that? And I think a lot of women, we feel comfortable enough when we know that there's a payout for it, right? And so knowing that there's a benefit for it, that this isn't just something that randomly that we're doing, that's helpful. So knowing that like if we do wear a bra, that when we come home, we can just take it off, right? And then, you know,
that's healthier breast. That's breast
yep.
health right there. Taking your bra off.
And to be
Good
honest,
stuff.
as much as this may sound silly, a part of my brain when I'm not wearing a bra and I'm running up and down the stairs is to hold my breasts so they're not like flapping in the wind. Where now, like we've learned from this, like that's actually, this is a no effort thing for my breast health. Like I can just go up the stairs without a bra on and I am doing some breast health care right now. Versus, and like when I think about it now, I don't even think I thought about it when I'm doing it. It's more of that, it's just this thing of like, those shouldn't bounce like that, right? Like,
Well, that's okay.
I
Like
should.
if they're still kind of like they're still moving a little bit even up the stairs,
But I
Just
think
yeah,
there's this
yeah,
idea that that should
yeah,
not happen, right?
yeah.
Where now it's like just let them fly, let them be free, right? And so, but these are the
Yeah.
like the little steps. And then going a step further, if we look at how we're specifically now talking about magnet health, is
Mhm.
that this is another thing that it's not requiring us to do something that's so exertive on our nervous system or on our physical body. Like we're told all the time that we need to work out, we need to lift weights, we need to,
Mhm.
have more cardio in our life. And those things to me sometimes feel really exhausting because it's a big external output, right? Like I have to physically, what you're asking me to do is not something that is a huge output. This is something that you can do while really doing nothing if you wanted to.
Literally.
Yeah.
You can put your magnets on so that they need to stay on about 20 minutes. You
Yeah.
can put them on while you're reading a book, watching TV. This is not even where I have to set aside 20 minutes to meditate and I need like space.
Yeah.
You can put them on while you're in the car taking your kids to school, driving to work, when you're washing the dishes. They're going to work and interact with your body regardless of what else is going on. So you can make it fit any schedule. So many of my clients and friends just have magnets next to their favorite chair and in their purse and in their car and by the bed. because obviously all of us are lazy really at our core. So if I have to get up and go get them downstairs, I'm not,
Yeah.
so I just have a couple here and there and you can put them on. Um, let's say we have a woman that's working, which is most of us now, and you have a commute home and you have to wear a bra because you're in a corporate setting and that's whatever, right? You can put your magnets on, your bra will hold them in place. Just tuck them in there and you're driving home and you have done something for your breast health with zero extra effort.
So you said 20 minutes. Is there a max point? Like, could we wear these in a bra all day or like,
That is a really great question. And it just was, I do magnet dates on Instagram twice a month. So I go live and we just put on a couple magnets and we all chit chat together. And that was one of the questions that came up. There is a point where there's like no, the diminishing returns, right?
right,
So if we're looking from that like pH balancing standpoint, it's about 20 minutes and it's not really doing any more. Is it harming you to leave them in? You like fall asleep, you forget? No. But it's generally not, there's no reason to do it
right.
in this setting. The only reason to do it for longer periods of time is in the case of an acute injury. So you sprained your knee, you just had surgery, something like that. And then the magnets actually can help with like speed up that recovery time. But that's really the only time where you would maybe even leave them on for a couple hours at a time. But you don't need to sleep with them on. You don't need to like do any of that thing. But somebody just messaged me the other day, like, oh my God, I like left it on. And I was like, that's okay.
Right.
Nothing's gonna happen. Um, Technically, to find out how much time you need to do it, they say to take your latitude and divide it by two. So here where I'm in Maryland, we're at like the 40th parallel, so it's like 20 minutes. But that's mostly the United States, unless you start going really far north. So depending on where you are,
Hmm.
when I've traveled to like Iceland, where we're up at like the 60th parallel, like really far, then we start leaving our magnets on longer. But for the most part, 20, 20-ish minutes is good.
And then once a day or multiple times a day?
So this is the other thing I tell folks, whatever feels good for you. If doing it every day is overwhelming and makes you not want to do it, don't do it every day.
Right.
If doing it once a week works for you, great. That's why I do these magnet dates and kind of think like, hey, let's just set a time. We're going to come together 5 minutes. We'll just put a couple pairs on and then you can go about your day.
Right.
Um, so if it works to put them on a couple times a week, great. Once a week, great. Once a month, great. The more often, obviously, you're going to compound the benefits, right?
Hmm.
But I would rather see somebody do them once a month than not at all because they were so overwhelmed at the thought of doing it daily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like anything in everything we've talked about in these two episodes, any one of these is better than nothing. So that's the other thing I'm very, very much about like meet people where they are. You know, that's why it's kind of nice to have the magnets near and around you because you can just put them on as often as you want. It
Hmm.
pops in your head. But you know, there is no minimum or maximum. If you're like a real overachiever and you want to put them on a couple times a day, okay. There may not be a reason to, but if you like it and makes you feel good, okay. I'm not gonna say no.
And then in the context of breast health,
Mhm.
like a set has two. How many should we, like you said, like just even buying just one set's fine. But in an ideal, perfect situation, how many sets should people have? Like how many magnets should one have when trying to care for breast health?
I would say somewhere in the 4 to 6, like
Okay.
so 4 to 6 magnets, or like 2 to 3 pairs. Wow, I just had issue with two times math. Because the thing is, if you have one and that's what fits your budget, great. You will put them on in one place for 20 minutes and then you can move them and put them someplace else for 20 minutes. Okay. So
Right.
you can certainly do that. I in no way want a woman not to have access to this because finances are stopping her. Okay. So
Yeah.
you can do that at whatever place you are. If you have more magnets, you can do more at once and then you're done. Right.
Yeah.
The other really nifty thing is I love having the smalls because you can do that whole little magnet sandwich thing that I showed you. And then you just like, it's easy enough to put them on,
Yeah.
and you can walk around with them. So that's kind of like a good number to start out
Okay.
with. Obviously, people, once they start doing it, they love it. They want to have more. They want to have them in different places. So it is one of those things that the more magnets you have, you will certainly use them. But start out
Small magnetic dish.
someplace that's, yeah, like
Magnetic.
start
I
out
can't
someplace
even say the word.
accessible.
Addiction. There we go. Addiction. Uh, okay,
Exactly.
so we're getting close to time here, and I just
Mhm.
want to circle back one more time here because
Yeah.
you shared in the last episode that your story about your own healing journey, but then your mom coming into breast cancer. And because this is around breast cancer and around the work that you do, I'm curious with your mom, if whatever feels comfortable to share, what helped her? What helped her in this stage 4 diagnosis? Or how did you help
Sure.
promote her breast health?
So it's been almost 6 years, I should say, and she's still with us. So that's amazing. My mom is from that generation of extremely tough cookies. So, and the magnets helped tremendously. We did a lot more because obviously we all live together. I'm very fortunate to have a property where my folks are on the property, and so like all of us are here together, commune style. And so when it was really an early diagnosis, we did this all the time. Okay, she had a very large mass. We worked on it using the magnets. Really made some interesting progress with the mass, and then she got to a point where she's like, "Okay, I'm ready to have this taken out." And then in that case, within hours of having her surgery, with her mastectomy, she had magnets on. And at her 4-week checkup, the breast surgeon said, I cannot believe how good, like the scars weren't even pink, right? They had
Mhm,
healed to like flesh colored in a month because she was using her magnets every day.
mhm,
And now, as the journey has progressed and we're kind of like other things are going on, they are helping her manage some of her symptoms. The medications can have side effects on her kidneys, so she's using the magnets regularly to support her kidney function and her kidney health and to like help her liver and her lymphatic. After that mastectomy, we're a little less concerned about breast health, and now we're looking systemically of how do we support it.
mhm,
One of a client that is also an incredibly close friend at this point now, I have an interview with her on my YouTube, and she, excuse me, has stage 4 breast cancer also, young children. And the magnets are so calming to her nervous system. Especially there's a couple placements that you can put on that just really ground and center the nervous system. That when she goes into her chemo, she always brings her magnets. She always put them on her kidneys to support her kidneys, right? Because of how rough chemo is, her liver. And then she always puts these pairs on to help her nervous system. And it has allowed her to shift when she's getting chemo into a place of acceptance
mhm,
and saying, instead of freaking out and saying, this is poisoning me, this is killing me, this is awful, I'm so uncomfortable, right?
mhm,
Just saying, I am allowing this medicine to go in and do what it needs to do
mhm,
and totally shift the energetics of it.
mhm. Yeah,
And you and your audience know that. Like you change the energy around something and how your nervous system is perceiving it.
yeah, yeah,
You take something that then, maybe would have killed you and now you're like, oh, it's not so bad. Just
yeah,
because of how our brain is interacting with it.
yeah.
So that is a couple of ways that you can use the magnets to work with that. And then I worked with my mom and now in like a very supportive role. And then, when her immune system is the best of anybody in this house. I don't know, whatever 2 white blood cells she has are like complete ninjas.
I love it.
But like in the case where things are acting up, or, then we can help it so she's getting over infectious disease faster. If she catches a cold, a flu, or something, she gets over that more quickly. Just
Yeah.
keeping her immune system as strong and supported as we can. So, um, I don't want to oversell biomagnetism. It is in no means, a silver bullet, but it fits a lot of categories and it helps. And
Mhm,
for one thing, it can help a lot. Um, And it's like just that it's a very low hanging fruit that once people get it, kind of get the basic concept, have a little bit of, okay, this is how I do it, you can run with it and how it will support your body just because it's keeping it stable,
mhm.
keeping that terrain better so that it can withstand whatever else is coming around.
And to add to that, I would say I think once again, this is how you put it. I loved it. The medical patriarchy, how
Uh-huh.
it has really created this experience where everything is black or white, where there is not this mediocre area of exploration. And we don't put enough awareness around the fact that, and I'm not saying the magnets are placebo, but the placebo effect is a real thing, right?
It is.
The
Yeah,
magnets are a real thing and energy is a real thing. And so even if it doesn't make sound reasoning for a medical professional that you might be working with, doing something that makes you feel empowered in your body, that makes you feel like you're part of the equation, that you're taking control of your health, can have such exponential impacts on your health. I was just actually at an event last night, and one of the women there was telling me how her mom was just diagnosed with cancer and how she's a Reiki practitioner. So every day she's doing Reiki on the medicine. And her mom's not a believer, but she was like, this is what makes me feel better. But her mom's side effects from the medicine has been outstanding. Like the nurse was like, what are you doing? Because nobody feels this good on this medicine. And because she's in radiation. And she was like, my daughter does Reiki on it all the time. Right. And so once again, we have to get comfortable with the things that we have not been told are normal. Right. Because
absolutely.
it has a huge impact. If it makes you feel
Like
better,
it's
it's going to make you
changing
feel
your
better.
perception,
Yeah.
right?
It's
And
making your nervous system feel safe.
and in the political climate of this country right now, never have women needed to be more empowered to take care of their own health.
Yeah.
Right? Like so many things are happening where women are under attack and under threat. So how do we stop that? How do we
Hmm.
make it so their nervous system doesn't feel that way? Well, by giving them tools so that they don't have to rely on the systems that be.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
feel empowered and say, like, okay, I can do something about my health. My doctor doesn't believe me. That's fine. I do this and I feel better. I believe me,
Hmm.
you
And
know?
to remember that, like, when you open yourself up to other possibilities, there is then room for both worlds to coexist.
Mhm.
One of
Exactly.
my closest, dearest friends had breast cancer at 30,
Yeah.
and she is someone who's very woohoo. She's a craniosacral therapist. She's very much into energy work. But at the same time, she didn't discredit medicine. She was like, I needed to find a practitioner and I needed to find a protocol that made me feel like that was what I needed. And so she did both. She did chemo, but she also had a very heavy, energetic team working with her as well. And like, I, I don't I can't recall the specifics, but I know that she went to the States for her treatments, but she called like China, like she called specialists all across the world to find out what would be best for her. And where she ended up landing, they actually tested the cancer cells. And even though it was breast cancer that she had, the cells were representing a different kind of cancer. I think it was like a liver cancer. So they treated it as if it was liver cancer, not breast cancer.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
And so like this is where like we can have room for both. You can do whatever makes you feel safe, and
Yeah.
safety can come in more than one realm.
And they will work synergistically.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
why even insurance companies are acknowledging this, right?
Yeah.
This is why you can get insurance, acupuncture covered with insurance now, if for a lot of folks, but especially if you're having cancer treatments, because they realize it makes the side effects more manageable.
Yeah.
So there's so
Well,
many ways that we can start piecing that together and then creating what works for you.
mhm. And having no shame around it,
Mhm.
right? Have
Yeah.
no shame because yes, you've said yes to medical treatment. Have
Yeah.
no shame because you've said yes to magnets.
Yeah.
Have no shame that you've decided to have your breast removed, but then also wanting to do something to support it, which I want to quickly kind of touch on too, is that like when we remove a body part from our body, that is like our body's a system. It registers that something is missing.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, and this is a Kate belief, a lot of times it's just easier to remove something without acknowledging that we're removing something.
Mhm.
And, this comes back to my own personal story with fallopian tube issues and it just being the easiest diagnosis of just remove all the fallopian tubes, right? Like we don't know which one's damaged. but it's just best we remove them all. And I remember going, but that does not feel good for me. And I have had one removed, but I also know now going down the path of learning and changing my career and becoming so invested in women's health to know
Mhm.
that where that one fallopian tube is removed, there's work to be done there to create healing in the system that I remove something from that part of that system, right? And so like your mom having her breast removed, there's something so beautiful of you saying like post surgery, we're going to put this on. And it wasn't because like we need to heal this right away. It's like we need to make this whole again, right? Like we need to re re-landscape
Yeah.
the area so that way it feels connected.
Well, people acknowledge phantom limb pain, phantom limb syndrome, right? So, like the energetic blueprint of your fallopian tube is still there.
Yeah.
The energy, like phantom breast pain, like that is there. The energetic blueprint of that is still there. So, still caring for that environment and that tissue is bringing the whole system back to like whole and acknowledges it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. This has been so amazing,
It's been
these
both like
last two
awesome.
episodes. I just feel like I need to learn more. And honestly, from someone who came into this call feeling so afraid of breast health in her 40s, of knowing like, and I don't know. I don't know why the 40 is the critical area where you all of a sudden start fearing everything that could possibly
Mhm.
potentially kill you at midlife. But I came into this going like, I cannot look at this area because what if? To now feeling like I don't have to worry about the what if. I have to now look at how I can support this moment, which it's been such an impactful, empowering resource these last two calls. So thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
happy. That makes me just overjoyed that you would say that. And that really is, that is my goal.
Yeah. Well, I can honestly say that there's going to be an order for some magnets going through. Everyone's getting magnets.
And it's for
Christmas
everybody.
in July. So,
Christmas in July. Yeah. 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 Very good. I'm so happy to hear all of that.
yeah,
This
it's
has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you for having me here, and letting me speak to your beautiful audience and just kind of get the messaging out of empowerment, not and empowerment without overwhelm.
and maybe before we wrap up, because I know that we said we'd come back to this. So you have your online membership where people can
Yeah.
figure out about the magnets. How can people work with you? Like we'll put this in the show notes for everybody as well.
Sure.
But for clarity purposes right now, where people like myself are like, this is we need my to make my breast best right now. So how do
I
I
love
do this?
that.
So one of my next steps here
Your
is
next steps.
do people have to work with you in person or can they work with you virtually online or is it just the membership? Tell me the deets here.
I'll tell you all the deets. All right. First of all, I have a breast health PDF called Beyond the Mammogram. So, Beyond the Mammogram, 7 ways to support your breast health, which it will be available to all of your listeners so that they can get all of this information. In there is included a video showing how to do lymphatic breast massage and how to use biomagnetism. So, all that information is there so they can go back, get what they need. Okay. Then you can work with me in person. You can work with me virtually. I work with women literally across around the world. So we can work with the magnets. If you have some, we can work distance work. There's all sorts of options there. There is the membership, and that gives you a lot of hands-on access to me, including in the membership, a one-on-one consult is included in that. So an hour-long consult is included in the membership. Plus, I do monthly Q&As, like live Q&As with my members. The one this month is tomorrow night.
Yeah,
So I
nice.
either do webinars specifically for them, we do Q&As, we could discuss cases, we answer questions like how are you adding this in? Um, I also, you can find me on Instagram. I do the magnet dates every other Wednesday, so we can meet live there, ask questions, kind of work together. I just try to make sure that there's as much information out there to meet somebody where they are, um, and however I can be of best service really to like get this out there. But there's all of those. And for your members, you can put it in the show notes, but I'm going to be offering a coupon code for them to get 15% off the magnets. So, and I have free shipping in the States and to Canada, over $150 is free shipping.
Okay. Perfect.
Anyone,
Oh,
and we ship internationally. So whatever is
this is
needed.
awesome.
Anybody who needs it, I am here. I am your magnet lady.
I love it.
Meet you where you are. Yeah.
This has been so, so great and it's such an important conversation because, to be honest, this is the first conversation I've had where it's not about being reactive, it's about being proactive, and it feels so good. So, thank you again for being on here. Thank you again for sharing all your wisdom and being with us for 2 episodes. Like, thank you so incredibly
Thank
much. This has been
you, Kate,
great.
for having me. Hopefully they don't get tired of my voice.
I definitely didn't. I could talk to you forever.
This was fabulous. So thank you so much for having me, Kate. I really, really have enjoyed our conversations.
Friends, have you had a chance to download my new free ebook? Maybe it's not you. The Truth on PMS and How You Can Take Back Control of Your Cycle is now available. This is truly a book that I think needs to be in the hands of every woman who struggles with the second half of their menstrual cycle. So if this is you, click on the link in the show notes and download your free copy today. And remember to subscribe to this podcast and share a review if you loved this episode. Until next time, remember, womb wisdom equals connection to self, which ultimately equals inspired living.